Today's video is going to focus on how we go about repairing old at-risk floors. Old wood floors are very vulnerable. They are very prone to cracking and splintering because they're fragile and brittle. So we go about the repair work in a very different manner. The best way to understand how we do it is to look at the basic installation of a tongue and groove floor. Starting on the right side, you've got the full thickness, 3/4 inch, and you can see that it gradually gets thinner as the floors are sanded over the decades. The diagonal line represents the nail that's put in the tongue to hold the floor down to the subfloor. It's critical. The tongue and groove and the nail is critical to the structural integrity of the wood floor. I want to focus right now on this original thickness here, this 3/8 inch area called the wear layer. And that's what it starts off as. And the wear layer is critical to the structural integrity of the floor. As you go through the sanding process, you see that the wear layer keeps getting thinner and thinner, and this is just going to weaken the floor. Now you're looking at the wear layer on the far left, and you barely have maybe 1/8 of an inch left. Now the floor is going to give you plenty of advance warning. When you get down to the air level where you're seeing the nails, this is a clear indication that the floor has already lost quite a bit of that wear layer. And the floor is telling you, look, I'm getting weaker every time you sand me. And if you don't stop, the next phase is not a very pretty one. The floor just literally starts falling apart under your feet. You can see these cracks right over the groove. It's almost like a fault line. And once it shears like this, it'll just break away, and then you're looking down into the at the tongue of the tongue and groove configuration. Now this will happen once the floor gets weak like this. You could be moving furniture, you could be rolling appliances across the floor, having guests over, women with high heels. My goodness, they'll just punch right through this. Now the traditional way most wood flooring contractors will repair a floor like this is what I call whole board replacement. They just simply take up the board and put another one in. They will take the tongue off or the groove and then nail it and glue it in place, but that's just not a very good way to treat an old wood floor. Now, the mastermind for our process came from this guy right here. This is my younger brother, David Purser of Charlotte, North Carolina. Very, very talented wood flooring contractor, and just a very talented guy at working with wood, and in particular old wood. Managed to bring a young guy in from Atlanta, Peter Island, and he worked with us up in Dearborn, Michigan on the Henry Ford estate. And the process that we use is very similar to what you see on the old floors in Europe. You have a floor and it's got damage, you're going to repair that spot and that spot only. You're not going to get into this whole board replacement because that's going to compromise the structural integrity of the floor. And this particular process, we call it Dutchman. You cut out and you install the wood again where the floor has been damaged. Now they're noticeable, no two ways about it, but the structural integrity is far more important than how it looks. Now this is an old floor that dates about 1790, and that's the edge joint, and you've got some damage there. So Peter took his router, went down and just routed out, and he lowered the height of the floor by 3/8 of an inch. Cleaned it up, squared the corners, and got it ready for the replacement wood. The replacement wood is typically wood that's somewhere around the same age. We usually go ahead and stain it, finish it, and then when it goes in, you get a nice match. This next patch is on a walnut veneer floor that dates to the 1930s. You can see the damage right there, and another angle, and the replacement wood is right there in front of it. Peter brings his router in and very carefully and methodically and also very cleanly routes out the damaged spot. Again, lowering the height of the floor by about 3/8 of an inch, squares it up good, and drops the replacement piece in there. Now, we make no bones about the fact that you're going to see the replacement. You're going to see the Dutchman. The priority here is you want to end up with a structurally sound floor, and we feel like the trade-off is well worth it. Here's a little project he had over in Grant Park. High traffic area, the floors were damaged along those edge joints. He routed it out, dropped in the replacement pieces that had already been stained and finished, and you've got a very nice match. The final project here is in the field room at Henry and Clara Ford's estate called Fairlane up in Dearborn, Michigan. It was a random width oak floor that had thin bands of bird's eye maple between the pieces of wood. And as you can see, they had been sanded till they were paper thin, and again, they were just falling apart. This was going to be a challenge, and it was going to be a long process. And David and Peter set up shop down in the field room and methodically went in and routed out the damaged pieces of wood. This is very tedious, very deliberate work, and these two guys are as talented as you will ever see. Once they get the wood routed out, and you can see the cavity right here again, you've lowered the level of the surface of the floor by about 3/8 of an inch. Then the replacement wood is installed. It's a nice fit, it doesn't require sanding, and then they come back and we did the finished work on top of it. Main thing is the structural integrity is as good as it could possibly be. So that's how we go about handling the repair of old at-risk wood floors. I got a lot of information at my website, www.rosebudfloors.com, a lot of project information and stuff about wood floors in general. My Facebook page is pretty decent too. It's at the Rosebud Company, and I use that to update projects and albums of work that we're involved with and just pass along information in general. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Take care. Have a good day.